Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observation. This is Radar. This is coming at you with episode number 89. So, I watched this movie called The Pentium Thief, the first one up. This movie wasn't, that long, so you're like, okay, cool. It's in the 90-minute range, it doesn't take that long. And you got famous actor Kevin Sorbo playing like a Roman, officer. And it was about that whole Jesus on the cross thing, but it was more about the two brothers, Dismas and Jotham, and how they're intertwined with Jesus' storytelling from his birth to them being on the cross. So it was an interesting take on that. But being a Jewish person, I don't even like films really that are about any religion. It doesn't really matter what the religion is. It's an okay movie. It's watchable. I know Kevin Sorbo does all those things for religious Christian movies, based stuff. But this was, okay, biblical movie. Not the best, not the worst. Then I watched this movie called Elise. And you're like, okay, cool, look, it's Sir Anthony Hopkins. And it's this other woman that is pretty good looking, but we're not even sure who this is. Her name is, Lisa Pepper. And I find out that when you're watching this movie, if you read the credits, this film is by Stella Hopkins. So Stella Hopkins' father, Anthony Hopkins, is in the movie, and you're like, okay, maybe that's why he did this, because I don't know why this guy would waste his time with a very, very slow-paced, boring drama about a woman who has issues, and then there's not really sure about the issues of, we don't know anything about losing her son and all this trauma until like the end of the movie, and not in like 45 minutes, almost 50 minutes of this movie, more than half this movie, maybe almost an hour, this movie has, it's black and white. And they're like, it's somewhat like she's having like how she remembers things. And I'm like, yeah, horribly written, horribly, put together and slow, and the black and white thing was not helpful. If you're a huge fan of Anthony Hopkins, you're going to be like, okay, cool, I will watch this movie. Because he does an okay job in this movie, but it's like, yeah, the mother, the housekeeper's daughter, all these other things, and all these weird things, just extra things going on. And the movie kind of ends with her no longer with the husband, and her with a new person, and him with the housekeeper's daughter, and having a kid, and I don't know, it just was, Sorry, Anthony Hopkins, your daughter does not know how to make a movie. Then I watched the movie that I thought was actually pretty good compared to the movies I watched. It was called Always and Forever. Big time actor in this movie is, Wood Harris. But people are gonna go, no, you got Lauren London and all these other people, and Loretta Devine, and I'm like, basically, it's about these four girls who bullied somebody, but one of them really didn't want to bully them, and all of a sudden one friend appears to die, and they're all at the funeral, and then some of them who haven't talked get reunited, and it's a typical horror film where one friend dies, so eventually most of them are going to die, and one person's going to survive, and the main actress is going to probably be the one that tries to survive, and you're not sure if it's the boy himself, because they talk about how his life was so ruined by this that he committed suicide. Is it a relative? So it's like, I was watching this type of movie, you can figure out that that it's not just some random person. It's either the person that got bullied or somebody in his family who did not appreciate what happened to their son. And there's like plot twists and interesting turns, and I thought, it was not bad. I had a feeling of who it would be and stuff, and you kind of get that feeling as well, so it's not the worst movie, but it's pretty well standard horror film where you can understand it. Then I watched this Indonesian horror film called Impedigory, where this woman is supposedly left where she's from, and the people in that town are still, think she's like a curse and stuff like that, but she goes home to claim her inheritance supposedly, and that the people in the village have been trying to kill her for years because they think her curse has plagued them. So she's got to survive being from the village, and the village trying to kill her and all this other stuff. And this one, actually, I'll say this was very creepy, very gory, very horrific, scary type of film. So they kind of scare you. The Always and Forever was more of like a suspense thing where you're trying to figure it out. It was okay. Except with these horror films, they're in the 90 to 40-minute range, so it's not like you're wasting a lot of time. Then I watched the movie The Misfits, and it's got big-time actor Pierce Brosnan. He's James Bond, so they paid probably him a lot of money. So that means the script is kind of lacking. The other actors are not as good, and it's very cliche and very cheesy, where Nick Cannon and Jamie Chung and this super, awesome guy with explosive, and this Middle Eastern prince, all are part of these people who rob and, let's say blow up a building that had drugs in there so no kids can have drugs, sort of thing. Or saving girls who have been, thrown into slavery and hoard out and turned into that sort of thing. That they're Robin Hood. They only terrorize the bad guys and steal from the bad guys because they're bad people. They don't steal from good people. And this whole movie is them trying to recruit Mr. Former James Bond with his, thievery skills and his brain to take down these bad guys who can use the bad money to fund terrorists. And they got to stop them. And Nick Cannon is narrating the movie. His name is Ringo, which is kind of okay, and he's got this whole weird Beatles thing. And I'm not a huge fan of Nick Cannon for his anti-Semitism and racism and all this other stuff. And Jamie Chung wasn't that great on The Gifted or Gotham. And Tim Roth is playing like a crooked, federal agent in this movie. But it's, for a movie that is, in the 90-minute range, bank heist, thriller, like stealing things, and then plot twist and a little twist and turn. It's very cliche and very cheesy. But it's the type of movie that's very watchable because you're familiar with the actors, you're familiar with the type of plot it is. It's a father-daughter story because his daughter's also involved, Mr. Former James Bond, so it's like, okay, cool. This definitely is worth the time to watch. Compared to Pentium Thief and Elise, I would rather spend my time watching a cheesy, cliche, not best written action heist movie than that. Then I watched Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. So in the past year or so, since I started doing movie reviews, if you notice, I did a movie review on another Warner Brothers DC Comics animated Mortal Kombat movie of them fighting on this island. And Joel McHale is Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade is Jennifer Carpenter, and there's some veteran, voice actors in there like Grey Griffin and whatnot. And you got the whole, Rhydon, I guess, and then you got Scorpion, and you got Sub-Zero. You got all the characters from the typical Mortal Kombat, cartoon, TV show, movie cartoons, and comic books, and graphic novels, and video games. And there was just the live action movie recently that I also reviewed. So this one's like a sequel, so, you may want to watch the other one, but you don't necessarily have to watch the other one unless you actually know Mortal Kombat stuff, and I'm not the most familiar, but of course you got Liu Kang is in this thing, and it's basically, they say, instead of every 1,000 years whatever fighting, it's one epic battle to stop the fighting, and whoever wins, of course, the bad guy is already controlling a bunch of realms, and the last one he's left is Earth, and that's why he wants to do this, so he can't have all of them. And again, it's only an hour 20 minutes with credit, so it's like an hour 15 to 18 minutes, and it's not a drawn-out 2-hour-long movie where you're trying to make a lot of money, so you're like, let's make a long movie, let's introduce more characters. There's some other characters in this movie from other ones, and it's just quick to the action. We're like, okay, good, we're fighting. Oh, there's something bigger than fighting? Oh, okay, we got to stop something even more horrible and save the day, and it's just quick to the point. It is super gory, but it's a cartoon, and it's got all the typical cliche, like body parts being broken apart, heads being ripped off, them showing like the inside of the body when something gets cracked. It was pretty good. I liked it. I liked the other animated movie, and I liked the live action one. So, like, again, this whole Warner Brothers, DC Comics making Mortal Kombat movies, they should continue to do something like that. Then I watched No Man's Land, which has got Frank Grillo playing the father. Barely in it, owns a ranch. Andy McDowell, the mother, barely in it. George Lopez is a Texas Ranger who claims he doesn't speak Spanish, and he's trying to solve this thing. So what it is all these people in Mexico are trying to cross the border, and they're in this guy's, land, and Frank Grillo and one son go out to look, and they tell the other son, who has a chance to be a baseball pitcher for the Yankees, now we're okay, don't worry about it. But he goes, no, I really want to be a rancher, and I want to help my family, and it's dark out, and weapons are drawn on people, and he by accident shoots a kid, and he's got to go on the run from, George Lopez, and the Mexican, police, and the father wants revenge, and all the other things. But it's a slowly paced movie for a guy on the run, and trying to get away and introducing certain characters and other plots. It was very slowly moving, and I get how they were trying to tell a story about the Mexican border and how things are handled each way and stuff and things like that, and try to make it and try to live up to your mistakes. But this movie did not have to be almost 2 hours long. It could have been 90 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes. Cut out a bunch of scenes, and I guess this is what George Lopez does. He's appearing in mostly dramas now. It was okay. It's not a bad movie. It's way more watchable than other movies. So I will say that the best movie I watched this week was obviously the Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. Then I will say Always and Forever, based on the interesting plot twist and familiar storytelling of a horror film, it was pretty good. And then Misfits, even though it was cheesy, bank heist movies are good. And then I'll say No Man's Land. I like what they were trying to do. The creepy Indonesian movie Impedigory, it was okay. I just would not waste my time watching Pentium Thief, and definitely would never waste my time watching Elise. Thanks for listening to number 89 of Movie Reviews Observations. For On the Radar Entertainment Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.